Greetings, salutations. Welcome to this midday power surge, Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. This is your spiritual oasis on this pilgrim journey. Saved to Serve International, first time viewers, welcome one, welcome all to this midday power surge. I want to open up this presentation by stating a principle from the Word of God that we're all living in a time of a great drama. We are a spectacle, says Paul in Corinthians, a spectacle unto nations, a spectacle unto angels, a spectacle unto men. This is a great drama. And the last act in the drama is Sunday worship by law. Not my words. Revelation 13, verse 15 through verse 17. Revelation 14, verse 9 through verse number 16. This is the final event. Then comes the second coming of Jesus Christ. And friends, once you understand the end goal, then you can better understand the events leading up to this end goal. And volume 7, page 141 says, my friends, the final act in the drama is the passing of a national Sunday law, beginning in America, and then it goes internationally. Take a look at this breaking news. Presently, as we are here on Midday Power Surge, the Nation of Seven, G7, the G7 nations, the leaders of the G7 nations are presently meeting. Do you know what Popery is now telling the G7 nations? Watch this, friends. They're actually saying it's time to enact climate Sundays. Climate Sundays now. And there's a call for wild Christians. You heard me correctly. Wild, W-I-L-D, wild Christians. My friends, can you believe your ears? Well, let's see if we can believe our eyes. Take a look at these events that are now transpiring. It's time to wake up, my friends. Remain awakened. All right? Arouse. It's time. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Remain ready. Get others ready. Jesus is coming soon. Look at this, friends. All right. Here it is, friends. Fresh off the press. June 10th, 2021. This is from Crux News. Catholic Press. Headline reads, UK bishops call on G7 leaders to create sustainable future for planet. Pastor, I don't see where they're calling for climate Sundays. Well, watch. Look at this article, friends. This is from the tablet. I'll come back to the tablet very, very soon. This is the premier Catholic publication, which began in the 1800s. Well, get to the point. Headline, as G7 begins, the world needs what, my friends? Climate Sundays and wild Christians more than ever. Let's read this paragraph here. It says, governments and society need to enact urgently and boldly, and Christians and churches could make a game-changing contribution to that by acting together. Is that prophetic? This year, with the UK hosting critical UN international climate negotiations, COP26, in November, Christians in this country have a unique opportunity to influence if we act together. Now remember, it begins where? In the United States of America. Can you hear the Sunday law rumblings? Look at this, friends. It says, that's why Aroka, UK, has joined with nearly 30 other charities and denominations, including CAFOD, Christian Aid, the Church of England, the Church of Scotland, and the Church in Wales, to run the Climate Sunday initiative. A key focus of the campaign will be, here it is, friends, a national Climate Sunday. One more time, a national Climate Sunday event. Glasgow Cathedral, close to the summit site, on Sunday, September 5th, 2021. May I continue, friends? Does the Lord have your attention? May I continue? Notice, we need to recognize the damage we're doing to the environment and our failure to look after our brothers and sisters in our common home in a post-pandemic world. Now, let's pause right there. Look at the connection between these two events. Climate emergency, we need Sunday rest by law. Linked with pestilence 19. Again, in a post-pandemic world, the Climate Sunday Project is an excellent opportunity for Catholic parishes in England and Wales, as well as who, friends? Oh, Pastor, don't even create any alarm. It's just for Catholics. Is that so? It says, as well as our ecumenical brothers and sisters, there it is, to understand responsibility to heal our planet and to pray and act in response to the climate emergency. Brothers and sisters, now let them define who wild Christians are. Look at this. Our aim is to create tens of thousands of confident, empowered, and well-informed agents. I wonder who those are. For change and local community and influence together nationally in this absolutely critical decade, 2020, 2030. Critical decade ahead to restore our environment for God, nature, and all people. Wait a minute. We need this for God. What will they call for? Sunday rest. To bring back what? Temple prosperity and to return to divine favor. Great controversy, page 590. I'll come to that. Don't forget this. Then it says, red words, wild Christian. There it is now, defining it. Wild Christian is for everyone and all denominations, not just Catholics, friends. From Christians just starting to explore what being green might mean to those who have already made big decisions to live more lightly and in tune with God's creation. There it is, my friends. There it is. And now they are going to tell you in the same article, Climate Sundays is the solution. Look at the screen. It says, Climate Sunday is our best way of doing so. What? Go back. Previous paragraph. Look at the last phrase. Wild Christian is for everyone and all denominations. Watch carefully now. For Christians just starting to explore what being green might mean to those who have already made big decisions. Here it is now. To live more lightly and in tune, in favor, in harmony with God's creation. And then they said, Climate Sunday is our best way of doing so. There it is, friends. A nail in a sure place. If that's clear, my friends, type in the words. Those of you alive, a nail in a sure place. All right, let's read on. Climate Sunday is our best way of doing so. Individuals and families will also have to act in the years ahead, and doing so in company, one world government, one world movement, will be essential for most. Wild Christian provides one innovative and motivating way to do. They need some wild Christians. Think about that, friends. Wild Christians. And my friends, I could spend the whole time addressing just that first article. You know what? I may return this evening with prophetic insights to dig deeper on that first segment here. But I want to go somewhere else to build on this. Once we have now seen the end goal of solving the climate crisis is what? Climate Sunday, which actually means Sunday rest, Sunday worship by law. And notice they connected that with the global pestilence 19 crisis. With that in mind, I'm going to share with you now the solutions to combat the pestilence 19 are actually laying the foundation, setting the stage for when Sunday rest by law becomes a reality. Take a look at this. And for this second segment, I have to remind you of the speeches and the interviews that were done by Tony Blair. He was being interviewed, and how I shared with you that he has intimate connections with Popery and the agenda of Popery. Okay, before I go any deeper, just remember, my friends, what article we just quoted from. The tablet. What article, friends? The tablet. Look at this now. Here is Tony Blair. I covered that a few midday power surge recently. And I shared with you his connection with the Bilderberg meetings, his link with the Vatican, etc. Here it is, friends. The tablet, since 1840, the tablet is committed to the teaching of the Second Vatican Council. And if you were to simmer the agenda of the Second Vatican Council, is to restore the wound of the papacy, to bring her back to world dominance. And who is a frequent contributor to the tablet? None other than Tony Blair. Blue words at the bottom, friends. And what is the tablet calling for? Wild Christians. Do you see it, my friends? Climate Sundays to the world leaders. G7. Why 7, by the way? Then you have G20. By the way, let me quickly move on before I get sidetracked. Look at this, friends. Get back here. There it is. Tony Blair converts to Catholicism. That's the connection, friends. Catholicism. So whatever he's going to state now, we must pay attention. And he has been a closet Catholic for 30 years. I want to ask you a question. So how many other state leaders are actually closet Catholics? Look at this, friends. I covered Tony Blair and his speeches and Vatican connection Monday, June 7th, 2021. And as a result, I will not be able to go back over those points. I'm going somewhere. And secondly, Thursday, June 10th, 2021, I covered Tony Blair and other content. Look at this now. Do you remember what he said recently? I want everyone to pay attention. They want to inoculate the world by 2022, the end of that year. Here's my point. They are all reading and following a script. I'm going to share with you that this script has its origination in the mind of Satan. It has come down to us through the ages, but most recently in the year 2010. Don't forget that year. By the way, those of you alive, type in the date 2010, so you don't forget that date. Now, let me segue. 2022, listen to this again.
And you've also said you want us to vaccinate the whole world, help vaccinate the whole world by the end of this year. So it's a question of priorities and choices. Which matters more, vaccinating everybody in the UK first or starting to send vaccinations around the world?
Look, it's important when you're outside of government not to advocate something you know you wouldn't do inside government.
Exactly.
So the priority will always be first to get your own country vaccinated, and we're doing that. What we're saying is you won't be able to vaccinate the whole world in 2021. You will be able to do it, as Boris Johnson's saying today, at the end of by the end of 2022. But what you could
Okay, friends, because I covered these clips before, I'm not going to spend much time on these to elaborate and expound. Clip number 2.
saying today by the end of 2022. But what you could do by the end of this year is vaccinate the most vulnerable. And that means frontline healthcare workers, the elderly, and those around big urban conurbations. And the reason for doing that is enlightened self-interest. It's not humanitarian simply. It's because it helps us to stop the disease spreading.
Okay, from that clip, kindly write down these words, those of you who are alive, and make note of this: healthcare workers. Then he said urban population, meaning populated cities. That's where they are going to start. Healthcare workers, frontline workers, and the cities. Clip 3. Don't forget those points, friends. Clip 3.
Boris Johnson should go to the G7 and say, we're going to vaccinate everybody in the UK first, but then we're going to send as much vaccines as possible around the world.
Yes, and I think that's what they will do. I mean, look, you can't be absolute.
Hold on. How? But look at the date. June 6, 2021, when this was published on YouTube, the interview. How did Tony Blair know that Boris Johnson would go to the G7 and persuade the other leaders to vaccinate their population by the end of 2022? Look at this, friends, fresh off the press. Look at this. This is, watch carefully, UK's Boris Johnson calls on G7 nations to what, friends? Vaccinate world by the end of 2022. How did Tony Blair know this? It's right there on the screen, my friends. I'm calling on my blue words. I'm calling on my fellow G7 leaders to join us. By the way, which nations comprise the G7 nations? Look at this. Last sentence, black words underlined. Germany. Friends, are those influential nations? The United States. Are these also populous nations? Italy, Japan, and what else, friends? The European Union. And within that, there are several countries. And again, Canada. Look at this, my friends. He goes on. Listen to this.
So this is a completely sensible way to go. And I think you will find right round the world that people move in this direction because it will facilitate.
You know what? Let me pause it. How did he know, Tony Blair, that Boris Johnson would do this? Because they're all following a script. And remember, we're living in the last act of the drama. Every drama we know of has a script. It's scripted. And now this interviewer is going to make sure he states that Tony Blair is well plugged in. Plugged into who? Plugged into what movement? Listen, he continued.
The access to government services. And by the way, in some of the developing countries, it will cut out fraud.
You're very plugged in. Are ministers interested in this, do you think?
There it is. You are very plugged in. So friends, how is the great question? Will they accomplish this agenda in inoculating the whole world by the end of 2022? How will they do it? Watch this, friends. The policies that they are going to lay out are going to be the same policies that will be a part of the mark of the beast crisis. That's your connection. Well, let the Right Honorable Tony Blair expound and tell us how. Number one, expect more restrictions, more draconian policies. Yes, friends, to restrict liberty of conscience. We haven't seen anything yet. And hear me now, these policies for God's people are going to be more severe than even the so-called pestilence 19 itself. Listen.
At home, if we do have to adjust some of the freedoms because of the rising pressure from new variants, then it's important at least to ensure that those people who are vaccinated have the maximum freedom they can. And I think that could also be done for travel as well.
Now, friends, again, I played this clip previously. I cannot now expound, but think, those who refuse to go along with the climate Sunday to be in favor, to be in tune with God, those people won't be able to travel. They won't be able to buy or sell. Clip 2, listen to this.
Is it acceptable to turn down a vaccine, do you think?
Unless you've got a good medical reason, my view very clearly is no. And I think that's why it's important to give people a real incentive to get vaccinated. But
So what would be the medical reason for not keeping Sunday? Are you seeing what's coming? No exemption except a medical one for the pestilence 19 nostrum. No exemption for honoring Sunday rest by law. What, friends, you haven't seen anything yet. Can you believe your eyes? Can you believe your ears? Watch this. Clip 3. Listen.
to do this properly, however, you're going to need to keep production going. You're going to need to make sure that countries have the capacity to absorb and to vaccinate, because many of them presently don't. And you're going to have to make sure you overcome the hesitancy about vaccines.
You have been
Overcome the hesitancy. Who are they targeting? My friend, watch this now. May I segue into some more current events, more current than what we have covered with Mr. Blair? Don't you forget what we just covered. Notice now, do you know Abu Dhabi? Look at the screen right here, friends. It says that country to place new curbs on the unvaccinated in various areas. That's it right there. June 10th, 2021. Move on. Look at this, friends. Pakistan's Punjab region to block SIM cards of citizens not vaccinated against pestilence 19. What? Yes, friends. Do you realize that since, I would say, the last decade, and I'm not using 10 years ago as a stringent point, loose point I'm making. Do you realize even our older population, older folks who were not tech savvy, they were actually forced to become tech savvy? Let me say it this way, to use their smartphones. How many people now use their smartphones for communication? Their phones, and it has to be a smartphone. How many folks use their phones, smartphones, for daily communications, daily transactions? And now they're telling us, if you refuse the pestilence 19 panacea, they are going to block your SIM card from functioning. What about those who refuse Sunday worship by law? Look at the screen right here, friends. There it is. Headline. You think this thing is a joke, right? For those scoffers, right? And those cynics. Headline. June 11th. No jab, no phone. The unvaccinated to have SIM cards blocked. Pakistan's Punjab government says. Now what? Remember now, many of these Asian countries are actually the beta testing ground. Yes, friends, the trial ground. Yes, the dress rehearsal locations. And then once they fine tune their Trojan horse in those countries, then they apply them in the Western world. Europe, you get the point. Move on. It says right here, friends, we're doing all we can to compel people to get inoculated. That's what it said. One question. Can you believe your eyes and ears? The government cannot allow individuals who don't want to get inoculated, watch this now, blue words, to risk the lives of those who are already inoculated. Does that make sense? My friends, those who are inoculated shouldn't have to worry. about those who are not inoculated. But what does this statement say? Okay, here comes the scoffers. Pastor, it's only one region in Pakistan. Is that so? Next sentence. Punjab isn't the only region in Pakistan. Oh no. There is another province, red word, that plans and is now putting in plan and have announced to stop the salaries of government employees who refuse to receive the pestilence 19 elixir. It's right there, my friends. It's right there. Not only no phone connection, no transaction, but what? No salaries if you are connected to the government. How many industries are linked to the government? LLCs are linked to the government. INC in America linked to the government. How many are not plugged in? Can we see what's coming? Again, once you see the end goal and how close we are to it, then you can better comprehend the present crises along with those inimical policies. Are you ready for this, my friends? Not only over there in the East, let's come here to America. You remember we just read right here, friends, the red words at the bottom, that they will stop salaries for government employees who refuse the pestilence 19 panacea. You remember that word I told you to write down? The words frontline workers. Do you remember that? Look at this now. Come to America. Texas. Headline, friends. The hospital in Texas suspends nearly 200 workers. Why? For refusing to get the pestilence 19 inoculation. No salary. There it is, friends. No salary. No salary, friends. Is that clear? No salary. And friends, you would now think that those people, frontline workers, who are now being forced, compelled, that they could now appeal to the government. Appeal to the government. Well, look at this. Will they win the appeal? Look at the headline here. June 13th, 2021. It says, CNN, headline, judge rules in favor of not the 200 frontline workers at the hospital. No. The judge rules in favor of a Houston hospital requiring employees to be inoculated against pestilence 19. Brothers and sisters, can you believe your eyes? Can you believe your ears? Look at the first sentence, red words. The judge wrote, listen, go and find work somewhere else. Go along with the agenda or find work somewhere else. What will they say when Sunday becomes the law of the land? Second line, it says, we don't care about the remnant. We don't care about a small number of people. I will side with the majority. Majority, a few. The word few is synonymous to what word? In Revelation 12 and verse 17. Those of you alive, the word few is synonymous to what word in Revelation 12 and verse 17? I'll wait on you. Look at the screen, friends. The last sentence, quote, the judge wrote, the public's interest in having a hospital capable of caring for patients during a pandemic, watch this now, far outweighs protecting the inoculation preferences of 116 employees. I don't care, she wrote, about the minority, about the few. Thank you, the rest of you. The word remnant, brothers and sisters, may I put a nail in another sure place right here? Write this scripture down for me. And this nail in a sure place, it is going to further amplify the need for all-night prayer meeting. The need, my friends, for fasting and prayer to make sure this is a nail in a sure place, according to Isaiah 22, verse 21, verse 22. Look at the screen one more time. So these workers found themselves in a crisis. Watch carefully now. These workers appealed to a judge, and the judge ruled against them. I want to ask you a question now. Those of you who are alive, I want to ask you a question. What account in the Bible was there a woman who cried day and night, all night prayer meeting? To cry means to pray. Psalm 63, verse 1, verse 2. Which account in the Bible? A woman, a widow, appealed to a judge, unjust judge, and the judge did not come through in her time. What is that scripture? Thank you, Stephen. Luke 18. Everybody go there with me. Luke chapter 18. Thank you so much, friends. Is this a nail in a sure place? Is this a nail in a sure place? Do you know what Christ asked in Luke 18? I won't spend time reading verse 1 through verse 9. We covered that. 12 a.m. Sunday morning through 7 p.m. Sunday evening. But Christ asked in verse 7 and verse 8, when the Son of Man returns, will he find a similar experience? A woman, the church, pleading night and day, all night prayer meeting, a day of fasting and prayer? Will I find my church having such faith, such experience? All right, friends. All right. Is God talking to us, my friends? Yes, he is. And what's going to happen when they compel us to keep Sunday? To which judge on earth can we appeal to? And that judge will rule in favor of the few, in favor of the remnant. No judge. They will side with the majority. How many keep Sunday as the day of rest? How many? In juxtaposition with those who honor God's seventh day Sabbath and worships Jesus Christ. How many? The minority. How many, even in heathen religions, who worship nature, the sun, S-U-N? Brothers and sisters, can you see the pending, ominous crisis? All right. Not only those industries, SIM cards and so on, no phone, hospital workers. Look at this now. Airlines, U.S. Airlines, United, Delta are now saying, if you refuse the pestilence 19 panacea, then you won't be able to travel. Is that clear, my friends? Are these points clear? Now, I'll give you one more. Again, once you understand the end goal, the last act in the drama, then you can understand the previous acts in the drama, leading us to the final act in the drama. Look at schools now. June 10th, 2021, Newsweek headline says, some unvaccinated college students could face a fine. Wait a minute, a fine? How much? My friends, where are these college students going to get $1,500 from to pay in fine per semester? How many semesters are in a school year? How many semesters, my friends? $1,500? And most of them, these students, are receiving government loans. Government loans on top. Why would they take out government loans? Because they cannot afford to pay the full tuition from their own pockets. So they apply for government student loans. And now on top of that, you are now telling them $1,500 per semester? Brothers and sisters, are God's people going to be fined in the Sunday law time period? Wake up. Look at this, friends. It says, look at this. Read the paragraph there. When does this begin? The fall semester is when it begins, 2021. Now, friend, what school comes to your mind now? Within the Seventh-day Adventist movement that I covered about 2 or 3 days ago, what school is also doing a similar thing? My friends, it is Andrews University and a few others. It's right there on the screen, friends. There it is, Andrews University. Just right there. I won't spend time on this. You can pause the video and read. I even covered this. The video is posted. That's one of the ones I covered at the beginning of this midday power surge. There it is, friends. Andrews University. So now, this is the church and the world speaking the same thing. Is that not appalling? That is an abomination in the sight of God. What will the churches within SDA now do? And remember, Andrews University is the flagship education institution within Seventh-day Adventism. And if you know what the flagship means, then you can understand the application. By the way, take a look at this, my friends. Now, none of us follow sports. Look at the headline, June 10, 2021. It says, should unvaccinated players in the NFL reserve in 2021 receive their game checks? In other words, my friends, no game check, no money for NFL players who refused the pestilence 19 inoculation. I want to ask you a question. How are they going to inoculate the whole world by the end of 2022? Are you now seeing it? The steps? Now watch the question. How are they going to compel the whole world to honor Sunday? That's it, friends. How are they? Should I repeat the question? You don't have to conjecture now. You can see the game plan. You can see the prescribed satanic protocol to persuade, compel, force every person globally to honor Sunday rest by law. The very same solution, so-called policies that they are now rolling out to combat pestilence 19 and to inoculate the whole world by the end of 2022. And what grieves my heart is this: the majority of professed SDA people are saying that there's no connection between pestilence 19 and the Sunday law crisis. No connection between the policies to combat pestilence 19 and the mark of the beast crisis. Are they not deluded and willingly ignorant, brothers and sisters? Now, may I share now the recent script that they have been reading from church leaders and state leaders? This is lockdown by another name. Look at this. And friends, please just separate the actual instrument giving the message. Christ didn't tell Peter to simply focus on the rooster, but the actual event. All right. So let's leave Fox News alone and look at the actual message. Look at this, friends. Of course, they are going to make this about politics, but we know better. Listen.
The think tanks in Washington, it's a malapropism, think tanks are on board too. Back in 2010, the far-left Rockefeller Foundation helped produce a shock.
Back then in what year? 2010. Who are the Rockefeller leaders connected to? Popery. I wished I put those slides in. I'll come back to it. Let's continue. Listen.
Precious think tanks are on board too. Back in 2010, the far-left Rockefeller Foundation helped produce a shockingly prescient report on 4 possible future scenarios that could play out over the next 15 to 20 years. One of them involved a global pandemic. That's remarkably similar to what happened over the last year. During this pandemic, quote, international mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt. Normally bustling shops and office buildings sat empty for months, devoid of both employees and customers. National leaders around the world imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temp checks. Wow, that does sound familiar.
That was 2010. Brothers and sisters, there was no pestilence 19 in 2010. Listen, clip 2, continue.
10, 11 years ago. The report went on to detail how the powers that be would never let that imaginary crisis end. Even after the pandemic faded,
Did you hear that? That means this is not going to end. So since it's not going to end, where is the end goal? What is its trajectory? The final act in the drama. Listen again, friends, please.
more authoritarian 10, 11 years ago. The report went on to detail how the powers that be would never let that imaginary crisis end. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. This heightened oversight took many forms: biometric IDs for all citizens, tighter regulations of industries whose stability was deemed vital to national interests.
Brothers and
The
sisters,
think tank.
can you believe your eyes? Can you believe your ears? I'm not saying that this was first written in 2010. I'm simply giving you a most recent script that was published. Think tanks. And remember now, all these powers will give their mind and strength to the papacy. Revelation 17, verse 12, onward. Are we here? And remember, what is the end goal? Sunday rest by law. Look at the screen here, friends. Should I share this with you? I will. Look at the screen as I close. Oh, brothers and sisters, do we see a need for prayer? That's why we need to become converted, remain converted. Country living, anyone? It's time. Backsliders, it's time to return. What are you waiting on? It's not more signs you need to persuade you. It's time to return home now. Look at this, friends. This is fresh off the press, June 14th. Texans told not to use their ovens. What do people use their ovens for? Not to use their washing machines. What do people use their washing machines for? Why? Because if they do, they will amplify the certainty of a statewide blackout. Darkness, my friends. And who do we wrestle against? The rulers of the darkness of this world. Spiritual wickedness in high places. I covered that segment this past Sabbath. You see how it all connects, friends? And what are they blaming for this coming darkness? Climate change. Hold on. What are they blaming for the coming darkness? Climate change. And what must be the solution to combat climate change? Climate Sundays. I'm finished, friends. I'm finished. Climate Sundays. Do you know what Christ would say right now in Luke chapter 4? Today, these words are fulfilled in your ears. What shall I more say? Paul would write in Hebrews chapter 11. Let me close. Look at this, friends. There it is. Bottom paragraph. Energy experts argued in Texas that the incident, a coming blackout, should be a wake-up call. What is God saying to us? Wake up. That the entire power grid isn't prepared for the more extreme weather conditions that climate change will bring about. The more extreme weather conditions, watch this. What are we told in Great Controversy, page 589? These things are going to become more and more frequent and disastrous. What will be the end goal? Watch this now as I close. Sunday observance by law. Blue words. Watch carefully now. Prevent them from their restoration to divine favor. So why will Sunday be enforced? To restore divine favor, to be in tune with creation, and to bring about temporal prosperity. All right. May I close with the very article I began with? Look at the screen, friends. The Pope says Sunday for the climate. There it is, friends. Hold on. There it is. Come on. There it is, friends. There it is. There it is. There it is. G7. There it is, friends. G7. The world needs climate Sundays. Catholics saying that, friends. Here's the quote now. I covered this at the opening. Here's the quote now. Bottom paragraph. Bottom paragraph. That's not the one. Here it is now, friends. We need wild Christians from every denominations. Look at this now. It says Christians who believe in the green movement might mean to those who have already, last phrase, made big decisions, watch this now, to live more lightly and in tune with God's creation. There it is, friends. Climate Sundays to live in tune with God's creation. And what says, my friends, great controversy, page 590, blue words and red words, Sunday observance by law, they will call for to restore to divine favor. Unless you are unintelligent, you will confirm that the phrase restore divine favor means the same as living in tune with God and creation. It's the same meaning. Is that clear, my friends? Yes. Strictly enforced. What does strictly enforced mean? Everything we have covered. Okay, what do we need now? Here's what God showed me, friends. Since we're seeing the coming blackout, no power, do you know what we need? You tell me. They're calling for darkness, lack of power. In Texas, the power grid is failing. Power grid failing. We have no power. Wake up. It's coming. Climate change. Climate emergency. No power. They are hysterical. Mass frenzy. What do we need, my friends? Power. What power? Spiritual power. All night prayer meeting. What was Jacob doing before Esau came? Wrestling with God all night. And what did Jacob receive, my friends? He received power. Blue words, friends. Red words, all night prayer meeting. Wrestling with God, not against God, but against Satan he was wrestling. Blue words, he received power. That's what we need, friends. Spiritual power is what we need. Brothers and sisters, was your cup full today? Are you receiving a blessing today? Do you see a greater need for midday power surge? All night prayer meeting to receive power? Days of fasting and prayer for power, spiritual power, my friends? Yes, it's now. Do you know why? Troublesome times are here, filling men's hearts with fear. My friends, Jesus is coming soon. Am I ready? Are you ready? That's the song I will leave with you. Send in your prayer requests.
Troublesome times are here, filling men's hearts with fear. Freedom we all hold dear. Now is its freedom's now at stake. Humbling your hearts to God, saves from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians awake. Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will surely sound. All of the dead shall rise. Righteous meet in the skies. Going where no one dies. Heavenward bound. troubles will soon be o'er, happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all worldly care, rising up in the sky, telling this world goodbye. Homeward we then will fly, glory to share.
Jesus is
coming soon,
morning or
night or noon.
Many will
meet their doom.
Trumpets will
surely sound.
All of the
dead shall rise.
Righteous meet
in the skies.
Going where
no one dies, heavenward bound. My Jesus is coming soon. Morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will surely sound. All of the dead shall rise. Righteous meet in the skies. Going where no one dies, heavenward